Every 40 seconds, someone somewhere takes their own life. In a survey completed by 100 people, 83 of the responses said they personally knew someone who'd either thought about or had harmed themselves or sadly taken their own lives. So tell us, what made you consider attempting suicide?
I suffer from severe depression, anxiety, and at the time multiple eating disorders. And that mixed with constant bullying, losing all my friends and not getting any nutrition, stressing over school food and the way I looked and weighed, and just kind of kept building up and up and up, and that led me to consider suicide.
What made you change your mind?
So I called the crisis hotline for my therapy clinic, and they helped me talk me out of it and how to deal with my panic attacks and borderline delusional state.
So what would you tell an individual who's feeling suicidal?
That, as cliche as it sounds, things will get better. No matter how much your brain is telling you that it never will, it will.
And how do you think suicide can be prevented?
I think ways to help prevent suicide is by talking about it more. Talking about how badly bullying can affect people. Also giving people a safe space to talk about their issues. But also grown-ups especially, just taking us seriously and not acting like it's nothing and it's just hormones. Also, like, promoting suicide hotlines can be helpful. At the end of the day, you know something needs to change, as suicide is the second leading cause of death among teenagers.
Suicide doesn't only affect the individual in question. It can leave families feeling extremely guilty, sad, and even angry. How many suicides would you expect to have been reported last year alone in the UK?
Probably in the region of 500.
Got to be 1,000. Thousands?
Okay, it's actually 6,200. So
Really?
it's quite a lot. Per 100 people in the UK, of young people, so that's 11 to 18, how many of them would you think consider taking their own lives?
I don't know, from what you've said, probably quite high, maybe 10-12%.
I'd probably say about 15.
I will say more than that, maybe
Yeah.
60.
It's actually 40 people per 100, so 40%.
Wow.
It's really high.
Yeah.
40%?
40%, yeah. 40
Good God.
suicidal thoughts. It's quite a lot, isn't it?
It is.
Only 4 out of 100 people who completed our survey said they would report someone else who was feeling suicidal to an organisation, charity or foundation. This must change. Speak out and get help.
So in Jack, our kind of strapline is encouraging positive choices. So we basically, our aim is to kind of draw alongside mostly young people, but also children and families as well, and kind of walk with them through stuff.
Okay, so it sounds like you support a lot of young people who are maybe going through family issues or
Yeah.
issues at school,
Yeah.
maybe struggling with some mental health.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on mental health in teenagers?
Okay, so thankfully mental health is something that's talked about loads more now than it ever has been before. And in some ways that's a bad thing, because people are going, how come there's all the teenagers with mental health problems?
Right, yeah.
But then actually, I think it's way better for things to be out in the open. If young people are struggling with stuff, to have people that can walk through those situations with them, that are there for them to be listened to them, can bring mental health out into the open.
So obviously mental health is one thing, but our topic is suicide in teenagers, which is obviously a very sensitive subject.
Yeah.
So from your point of view, an experienced charity youth worker, what would be your advice to someone having suicidal thoughts? What could they do? Where should they go and get help?
For me, the starting point, like we've already said, is talking to someone, is helping those feelings out in the open. One of the biggest lies that I think young people believe is that no one else feels like this but me.
Okay,
I'm the only one feeling like that. Once you dispel that myth that that actually we all struggle with these things all the time, I think it relieves the burden a little bit.